Hey, everybody, welcome back to our continuing coverage of the GAMA Trade Show 2017. I'm Zee Garcia. I'm here with Fred from Evil Hat Productions. We're going to be taking a look at this game right here in front of us, Dresden Files Cooperative card game.
Yep.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
All right, tell me what's going on here. Explain it to me a little bit.
Okay, this is a true co-op game, all the way down to the psychologist who designed it, making sure that there's no sort of table boss phenomenon that comes out of it. He kept tweaking things until he made sure that nobody's bossing everybody around, and everybody really has to do like teamwork in order to get it all solved. One thing you might not expect from the gameplay on this is that when you've got the board laid out, this is your puzzle to solve.
Okay.
There aren't more cards coming on after you clear things, but you have limited resources.
Okay.
You only draw when the game tells you to draw.
Okay.
And that you're not filling up your hand constantly, so you have this sort of dwindling pool of resources as you're trying to desperately get enough cases solved and defeat enough foes that you can hit the victory condition on the game.
Okay.
The game, of course, wins ties because Harry Dresden never gets a fair break. And your goal is ultimately to solve more cases than you leave foes standing.
Okay.
Because ultimately, there are always a few bad guys who get away at the end, but the important thing is for Harry to have figured out as much of what was going on as possible.
All right.
Along with his friends. You play Harry Dresden and up to 4 of his friends. In the base game, we've got Harry, Susan, Murphy, the Alphas, and I always blank out on somebody, Michael Carpenter. So you've got your wizard, your cop, your reporter, your werewolves, and your holy knight.
Okay.
And in the expansions, which we're also going to have coming out at the same time.
Yep, right here, 3 of them.
Each one of them adds 2 more characters and 2 more scenarios.
Okay.
Each scenario is based on one of the novels. So we're covering the first 11 novels total through the expansions in the core set.
Gotcha.
Plus, the core set also contains a deck based on the Side Jobs short story collection, which you can use to randomly generate scenarios for increased playability.
Okay, very nice.
And we support 1 through 5 players, so you can do a solitaire mode on it. That's kind of like the 3-player game, but a little bit harder because you have perfect information sharing.
Right.
And it goes all the way up to 5 players. It's really tightly balanced. You're often coming down to the showdown at the end where you hope that you got things far enough along so then the big fight lands at the end. You throw some dice and you have that sort of Vegas moment, appropriate to where we are, where when the dice hit the table, whether it means a win or a loss for the scenario, I've very consistently seen people be like, ooh!
So we are manipulating how many dice you'll get to roll.
It's not how many dice you roll, but how well tuned the result will be to help you finish out the case that you got close or a foe that you almost defeated.
Okay, cool. Tell me a little bit about the game mechanically. Okay. Just an overview of mechanically what are we going to be doing?
In each of your players' hands, you'll have 4 types of cards: attacks, investigations, overcomes, and take advantages. And those correspond to the 4 types of cards that are on the board as the layout. You have obstacles, those are what you overcome. Okay. You have advantages, those are what you take. You have foes, that's who you attack, and you have cases, that's what you're investigating. Okay. The case and foes get tokens on them until you hit the number, and that clears them off.
Right.
Since the players are scoring a point for each case they clear, those go up to the solved cases area. Otherwise, everything goes up to the book discard. Okay. But eventually, you're going to cook things down to the point where you're running out of resources, to fate points that you need in order to play the cards in your hand, and you're running out of cards in your hand. Right. Because, like you said, you start with everything you're going to get. Yeah, but you're trying to use those limited resources, and sometimes you got started off on a good foot, and sometimes you didn't. The game is tuned for about, at the standard difficulty, I'd say you're going to win about 1/3 of the time once you've gotten a certain amount of mastery over the game. Okay. And what you're really trying to do, ultimately, is solve the puzzle well enough that when you get to the showdown, the odds are in your favor. Gotcha. In the showdown, you'll have an opportunity to spend whatever fate points you have left over to improve your odds a little bit. But it's most of what's going to depend on is how close you got the tokens on those cards that take them in order to make sure that the few number of hits or clues that a showdown roll might get you can actually solve what you need or defeat who you need in order to push you over the line to the victory.
Gotcha. Yeah, these dice are really cool looking too.
Yeah,
They're really pop.
those are fate dice. They are we use them in our role-playing game line, Fate Core. And in this game, they function somewhat similarly in that the pluses are +1, the minuses are -1. So all of your die rolls are always zero-centered. But like occasionally you'll see something with a number in a white box that indicates how many fate dice you're rolling. So you kind of know on average how you're going to do with that.
Right.
But with like the range on a card you're playing, if it's got a swingy range, you're like, I don't know about that. And that's why Harry's Blue Beetle card, which is his old rickety Volkswagen Beetle that he drives around, has a variable range on it, because sometimes it'll get you to where you need to go, and sometimes
Gotcha.
it's just going to be a whiff.
Gotcha. About how long does the game play on
It
this?
plays in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We really wanted a game that took advantage of all that co-ops have to offer, but also sidestepped that sort of feeling where you invest like 2 or 3 hours in a co-op game only to get to a loss.
Sure.
Here, it's a bit more of a fast emotional roller coaster throughout. You get to the end of your half hour, and win or lose, very often people are like, oh yeah, okay, let's play again. There was one, and even if you don't know the Dresden Files theme, the gameplay is fairly approachable. One of the times I was teaching it last year, someone came up, didn't know the Dresden Files at all, kind of like co-op games, sat down to play it, and 20 minutes later he's like, oh, okay, let's play again. And during that demo day that I was doing, he was there for the next 8 hours and only left for his lunch break.
Wow.
It's a game that really
Hooks you. It sounds like if you're a puzzler, you're gonna be digging the puzzle it presents.
And
Very cool.
And if you've got a group that really likes getting like that good sort of teamwork feel going, it's a very rewarding teamwork focused co-op.
Cool. So when is this going to be available?
Right now it's shipping to our Kickstarter backers,
All right.
and we're planning on having it hit its street date in June 14th, which is the start of Origins.
Right.
But it should also be streeting through game stores everywhere at the same time. We're already working on getting the copies out to the distributors and so
Gotcha.
forth to support that.
What's the MSRP on it?
The core game is $39.99,
Okay.
and each of the expansions are $10.
And these are going to be available at the same time?
Yep, those will be released at the same time.
Okay, there you go. And you got the 3 different ones. I'll just put them there, so show the camera.
The first one, fan favorites, adds in Thomas Wraith and Waldo Butters. The second one, that's basically a sexy vampire and a medical examiner. Here you get Molly Carpenter, his apprentice, Harry's apprentice, and Sonya, another Holy Knight, but he's agnostic, so that's an interesting bit there. And then this is the Warden's Attack expansion. It has Carlos Ramirez, who's the West Coast Warden captain, and Anastasia Lucio, who's the overall commander of the Wardens in the setting.
Very nice. Cool. All right, well, thanks for showing
Absolutely.
it to us. Sounds very interesting, very puzzly. I like that.
Yep.
Fred, good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you on the next one.